All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And with this update going on, we posted earlier this morning, kind of giving our initial thoughts. I've had some more time to think on things, reflect, and more come up with my biggest asks for capital games. And what I want to make sure I'm very clear on with the community is where a lot of my frustration is coming from, as you guys will see in this video, is the lack of clarity. It's this lack of direction. You've said, you've told us, oh, you're going to get if you're free to play, you're going to get to level 65 at the end of this. Okay. I'm supposed to take you on your word, right? And people are like, oh, just trust them and trust them and trust them. And it's like, just because CG said it, right? Like, that's what I'm supposed to believe it at this point? Team subject to change? I hope you guys get this reference. They also said that artificial sweeteners were safe. There were WMDs in Iraq, and Anna Nicole married for love. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I trust people about as far as I can throw them. And why I think, frustrated with the lack of clarity is because I think back to when they changed Squad Arena. If you guys remember back in the day, Squad Arena used to have the crystals, right? You used to get the crystals in Squad Arena, and they moved them to GAC. And when they did that, when they made this change, they showed you in, Kyber 1 all the way down to Bronze, to Carbonite 5, the crystals you would get, and how overall for the player base, it was a healthier change. And it proved it. They proved it through the amount of crystals you could get and everything, that this was a positive change for the game, that they weren't misleading you and saying you're going to get more crystals. So I'm asking for a similar situation with the Coliseum and with these era upgrades, right? Show us the direction. Show us the math of, okay, how long will it take me to reach level 65? What will that look like? If, you spend these resources, what will that look like? Right now, you're just kind of like, I don't know how I get past level 15. And I heard through the grapevine that I think Zareth talked to a developer who said you'd get stuff through these era challenges. Great. Where the hell are they? When are they supposed to come? Why am I hearing that third hand? I heard it from, Shitstorm, who heard it from Zareth, who heard it from a developer. Show me on the forums. Just explain it. We spent all this time justifying this update in all these posts, but we didn't really explain it to any detail, so that it's just so unclear. And that's causing a lot of players to feel like they're already going to set the game down because they're just not sure how the hell they're going to get there. So I've got a big problem with that. And when you said, hey, free-to-play are going to be able to get to this point, right? Free-to-play are going to be able to get to, level 65. Okay, well, define free-to-play for me. Define free-to-play for me. And I'm going to explain why I say define free-to-play. If we take a look at my guild, and we go to here, and we go to Zangster. Zangster's a free-to-play at 14.1 million GP. He's in Kyber 2, he gets first place regularly in his fleet arena. Is this, when we talk about free-to-play, is this free-to-play, right? Is this the free-to-play that you're talking to? Somebody with resources like this? Or are you saying the free-to-play who's getting, 60th place in Fleet Arena and doesn't have crystals and is sitting in, Bronzium 2? What level of free-to-play are we talking about? And when you say free-to-play, what level of investment does that mean? Does that mean no crystals spent on any of these things? Or will you have to spend crystals on these packs in order to hit that free-to-play milestone? What does that look like? And that kind of is something that bothers me a little bit, is that lack of definition, lack of clarity of when you say free-to-play accessible, what does that mean? Does that mean if you save all of your crystals, you'll be able to do that? Or you're not going to have to spend any crystals and you'll get there eventually? Again, it's a clarity issue for me. A lot of this boils down to the clarity, to the communication of how this stuff is supposed to happen. Because right now, it's just none of us know. Next, right? Let's talk through, another part of this that I think really bothers me. Where, when, and how. You think right now, if I want to upgrade Luke, I can get him to level 15. Now, I'm going to have to spend considerable resources to do that. If I want to get to 16, These are available in the Coliseum, or I've got to spend money. Right? That's it. And even then, in the Coliseum, I can't see them until I, get further on, which, oh, of course. Oh, gosh. All right, hold on. I think this is fine. All right, I didn't press battle, so I'm okay. Right? But you think, until I actually earn those materials, right, I didn't get them. So again, it's just like a where, when, how. When are these resources going to get in? How long will that take? What will that look like? Because I honestly think that that's a big issue for me, right? And especially with the way that the game was trending, where CG had made this really concerted effort to reduce the cost of the marquee stars. And that allowed for more players to wail on these characters, to say, hey, you're in the end game, now you don't have to spend as much money to get the character to 7-star, and you can use this gear that you've stockpiled to be able to invest in them. Well, now you spend all those resources on these character shards, and I know people who spent the resources to get their Luke to 7-star or whatever, 6-star, 7-star, and they can't do these final tiers because they're not spending the resources to upgrade his level. Because the level upgrades cost different resources, right, than the star upgrades. So if you don't buy these, then all your star levels don't help you nearly as much in the era content. So that's kind of also a problem, right? So the other thing there is, even with these era-related resources to level up characters, if you actually look at these things, right, if we go into them, so we're going to go to the era store and look at them, because again, it just, this really, when I saw this, I about lost my mind. Now this are used for 1 to 15, but even if we go to, the level 81 to 95, unused materials will convert to credits automatically when the era ends. Are you freaking kidding me? Convert to credits when the era ends. Credits. The thing that you just reduced, cut everything in half, so that way you didn't need as many credits. Oh, well, we're going to give you the credits for these ridiculous materials that you've got to spend money on to get right now. Are you kidding me? That is extortion. Personally, in my opinion, they talked about how this update was meant to really help players. You want to help players? Convert these to gear. Convert them to signal data, convert them to relic materials depending on their level. Convert them to something that will actually help players, not credits. I have a big issue with that, because you've already made it so expensive to take characters up, right? Because we can no longer use this legacy gear, we've got to spend all these extra crystals or resources, or you've got to wait all this extra time that otherwise you wouldn't have to do. This system was supposed to be an upgrade on the current one and right in the old one, and right now it's not. And then at the end of the day, oh, these all convert into, credits automatically. Like, what's the point? What so, like, that just, I don't know, that bothers me so much. Because you don't need credits like that. If they converted to gear, they converted to relics or, signal data, something that was useful to your account, maybe there'd be incentive to spend. But you're going to get credits? Who the hell cares? So I think that's a big problem. And I know a lot of players who normally spend a lot of money who are sitting here saying, I'm not going to buy these packs off of the principle that I think it's extortion and I think it's ridiculous. I have heard reports from this. I've heard reports that it is $500 to take the character to the max level. $500. That is crazy. That's just crazy to me. And going from a system where it costs 100 to get them to 7-star, and then you could use the gear that you already have. I understand CG needs to make money. I get it. But that's just, in my opinion, I think that's a step too far and a big problem moving forward for the monetization of this game. Also, kind of really, really bugging a lot of players right now is the lag. In PvP, Squad Arena, I heard it, saw it pervasively in TW. There is a lot of lag in the game right now. Right, the game just feels slow. And you've got Grand Arena coming up. You've got another territory war coming up. If that lag isn't fixed, it is going to completely change this the dynamic of these battles. It's going to completely change the dynamic of players going into a fight. Now, all of a sudden, those teams that weren't really as big of a deal on defense are now that much more challenging to beat because of the lag. You're just going to have a timeout risk now, which there's some battles that are already kind of a timeout risk, and they got that much worse. That lag needs fixed. Everybody knows the lag I'm talking about. It is crazy. And that cannot continue to happen. So yeah, that is, in my opinion, a bigger issue than anything Coliseum related. Get the lag fixed. I am continuing to struggle. I'm continuing just to see where I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know why. Right? And mid-video, we just got an update. The team is aware that Tomb Guardians want to live forever and are investigating. Look at this. Let me see if the screen capture will pull this up. There we go. Already. Are you kidding me? See, everybody who's saying, oh, everybody who's whining is ridiculous. No, we're not. This is not ridiculous. This is the kind of stuff, you know, you wanted to do all this relic delta testing that for all we know was for nothing because you were going to fix the, you know, tiers to whatever you wanted anyway. Like, this is the stuff that needed testing. This is the kind of stuff you should be bringing people in so they can figure this stuff out. I'm just continued to be at a loss for words for this, right? The lack of clarity around all of this is just, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. I want to play through the marquees in front of you guys because, again, this is another problem that I think just sort of could, you know, I'm going to play through these while I kind of finish up what I'm thinking as we go through this. I think overall right now, if they can give us some clarity into these things, right? Define free to play. Where do the resources above level 15? How long will that take? I think answering questions like that will allow us to gauge this update in a better light. I just think a huge part of the problem with the game right now is they spent so much time trying to justify why we needed all of these changes. And you guys can see, by the way, you can see the lag in this marquee battle. Look at that. You know, that's the stuff that it's going to hit you in GAC, going to hit you in TW, potentially causing timeouts. But I think with the lack of clarity we have, you can't make informed decisions about this update, right? You know, people can say, oh, just trust them. But like, they said we were going to love this update. Is anybody loving it? Is anybody really loving this update? And don't get me wrong. There are some very positive things that happened because of this update. There are some very positive things that you could potentially take away. You know, if they're not lying about being able to get a character, like, you know, hey, we're going to be able to get Luke at Gear 12. For a lot of players, that's a big deal. I've heard some people saying Gear 12 is of no help. Oh, thank you, Robert Miller, for a sub. I've heard some people say, hey, you know, that doesn't matter. Gear 12 isn't important. It's not the level that's important. It's the resources that go along with it. It's the fact that you won't have to spend those Kyrotech and can invest them into another Journey Guide event. So I don't like that take. I don't want people saying, oh, Relic, you know, Gear 12 doesn't help my Grand Arena. It's about what you'll be able to do because you won't have to spend those resources. And that's a whole other video. While, yes, they did make relics a lot easier to obtain. They did make relics a lot easier to get. I can't sit here and pretend that that shouldn't have happened years ago. It should have. I really, when I was thinking about this, as I was, you know, contemplating kind of how I wanted to phrase this, I kind of came up with it like this. Making relics easier at this point was kind of like when they first released the accelerated shards, where it felt like it should have happened a while ago, and we were still missing the piece because it was that much harder to still get the gear for those characters. We're still going to get bottlenecked by things in this game. You know, the episode store refreshed early, so we didn't get the signal data that should go in there. We did get signal data on the episode track, it is on the free episode track, but just for perspective, you're getting 75, 65 and 15. I mean, 15 blue signal data that's insulting to me. That's insulting. I get more than 15 when I do refreshes in a day. That's insulting. I was really PO'd when I saw that. And I think that goes to show just a little bit of their lack of understanding around the impact that some of these things have. Just of where the community really is hurt. Folks, I want to be positive about this update. And I felt like I was extremely positive about it for a long time. But I just can't sit here and continue to be like, oh, everything's fine, when I just don't see it that way. We'll do a Coliseum battle here. Actually, let's collect some, the measly rewards we got. All right, 100, yippee. So we'll do a single battle here. Again, just to kind of see what this looks like against a different boss now. Maybe get some extra rewards. All right, let's go here. Which one is the one that actually, deals damage? Okay. Do this. Okay, we can actually use AoE abilities now. Oh my gosh. That was lovely. Okay, great. Well, this is super fun. This is great. Man, this is super, super doable. Wow. Man, don't you guys feel how fun this is? I mean, just snipe out the whole team, why don't you, Gosh. Well, that was super fun. I really felt like that was a good use of my time. What a joke. What a joke. Again, guys, I don't know what more I could say at this point. I feel like that was just the perfect, I have no clue. And again, you say, oh, well, Phil, you've just got to learn how to do it. You want to know the problem with that? Is you only get the 5 battles. So even if you don't get it by the 5th battle, guess what? You're done. You go and retreat, it counts against you. This goes into everything we've ever said of, give us a sandbox mode. Give us a chance to actually learn these things. And, again, you say, oh, well, you're going to learn to play it more. Again, maybe it's just one of those things where right now it's frustrating, and in in a couple weeks it'll be fine. But then give us the information. Give us some clarity as to how to play this, as to what to do. They always seem to rely on us to come up with strategies. And I guarantee you, there will be a strategy, there will be something, and it will get nerfed. Because that's what they do. So, I'm sorry. I know this is a big rant, and, we're trying to be, objective. And, I know some players will say, oh, well, we should be trying to come up with solutions. I want answers to my questions first. I want some clarity on things and fixing the damn lag before I worry about trying to make anything better. Let's just get some understanding of the why. I'm a big believer that I want to, have the path in front of me, get me the why so I can understand it, and then I can give you better advice and direction on what I think needs to change. Having seen what Relic 10 is, having seen Relic Delta, I can give them better feedback to tell you that the percent thresholds are going to get out of hand quickly. So, again, and seeing it in action at the 5 level, it's nuts, right? It's too much at that 5, the levels are, they've got their own problems with that we've got to, figure out and discuss, and, yeah, it's just a mess. So, I'm sorry that I can't be a voice of positivity, but I think I did that for long enough where I've earned some time where I can be harsh here and where I can be critical of them and where I can call them out for, I feel, misleading us and not providing the proper guidance and clarity into this new game mode that they're introducing that is going to have consequences outside of, like, you think the rewards you earn in the Coliseum impact your legacy roster. It's not like it's self-contained. It's you impact here, impact here. So, like, you are costing players potential rewards in their legacy roster because of the stuff going on in the Coliseum. So, I want to leave it at that, folks. Let me know your thoughts down below. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.